I'm Elizabeth Gearhart. I'm here with Cindy Gelormini, the Paint Diva. Cindy, why do they call you that?
Hi. They call me that because I'm a color consultant. I'm an expert at Benjamin Moore colors, and I'm just really good at it. um, I used to paint murals and faux finishes in the 90s. And when I painted faux finishes, I used to mix the paints and I could see the colors. I had an eye for the color. And then when that went out of style, I went to work as an interior designer in a paint store, a Benjamin Moore dealer. And I worked there for 11 years and I learned Benjamin Moore colors inside and out. I can do it in my sleep. And then I worked with thousands of people while I was there. And I just did it over and over and over again. And I just kept learning the colors inside and out, and I learned what works and what doesn't work and why, and people would come back and they'd say, hey, that color looks a little bit peach, and we'd figure it out and say, well, it's your lighting, and because the lighting is different in the store, and then when you bring it home and you have different lighting there, and I learned all the ins and outs and what works and what doesn't work and why. So now I can do it just really quickly, very efficiently. When a homeowner buys a new home, they want to paint the whole place before they move in. I can come in, get every room done in the whole house in an hour. We just bang it out. And they're amazed. They can't believe that we got it done so quickly, because typically people stress out over choosing one color for one room. And then to do the entire house in an hour, they're always shocked and have a smile on their face by the time I leave. So I also work with sellers. And because I work with so many people that are buying homes, I know what they like and what they want. So I'm able to transform the seller's house into something that I know that buyers are going to want to buy. I also do a little bit of staging. I don't do full house staging. It's more of like somebody that lives in their house for 30 years and they haven't really painted the place in the past 15 years. And I will go in and I'll just tell them, these are the pieces that need to go, keep these pieces, we'll paint this, paint the kitchen cabinets, take down the wallpaper, paint the walls, make it into something that I know that buyers love. And then I might bring in a couple accessories, maybe a rug or some pictures just to finish it off a little bit. And then usually it looks so good that people say, well, now I don't want to sell it, because now it looks so good because it's all freshened up. I also work with a lot of people renovating. So if they're, say they're renovating the kitchen and they might open up the walls and things like that, by the time it's time to paint, which is last, they're usually mentally and emotionally fried at that point from making too many decisions. And again, I just come in there and just boom, 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 and we get it done. And I will explain to them, I give them a little color lesson before I start. And we all know gray has been the big thing for a long time. So right away I show them, I said, these are the cool grays, these are the warm grays, these are the ones in between. Anything beyond that is going to look blue, green, purple. We're not going to waste time on any of those. And I get it down to 3 swatches and we talk about those and boom, 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 and we're done. And everybody is, I simplify everything, take away all of the stress and the pain. So I guess that's what makes me the diva.
That is amazing. And I have to say that is a talent, because I love color, but I'm not really sure that, like, sometimes I see colors together and they look really great. And I would never have thought of that. And there are some colors that they're not going to look right on that particular wall, but it's a real talent to figure that out and figure it out so quickly, I think.
Yeah. Well, one of the mistakes that people make is they see a color that their friend used in their house and they love it and they bring it home and they try it and it doesn't look the same. And I said, because you don't have the same stuff. You don't have the same furniture. You don't have the same lighting, it's it's things like that. But when I choose colors, the first thing I ask people to do is give me a tour and show me around. And I right away, I'm taking in a lot of things that they don't know that I'm taking in. I'm trying to figure out who you are, what your style is, what I think you like and what I think you don't like. I find that people gravitate toward either warmer colors or cooler colors. So if I walk in and I see a lot of beige, golds, reds, I know, okay, this person prefers warmer colors, as opposed to, they're probably not going to like the cool grays and blues. That's a person that's going to want more of a grayish, warmer tone. Is your house really traditional, or do you have all new furniture? You like everything more modern, more clean? And I always want to know, are you planning on selling? Because that's a different conversation. If you're staying for 10 more years, then we're going to pick colors that make you happy. Like I just did I just did a house last week. A woman had a new house built and her favorite color is purple. She loves turquoise and purple. And you know what? We did half the house is different shades of purples. If she was selling the house, that would have been a completely different conversation. We're not allowed to use purple if you're selling the house, you know? So
if I wanted to find a home color specialist first, you said there aren't very many of you, but I guess I would type into Google, how do I find a home color specialist? Is that what you would call yourself?
yeah, consultant, I think, is usually probably what people, I think they type in color consultant. And I usually come up pretty high up in the search. People find me from all over the place because there's not that many people that do that. There's a lot of interior designers out there. I would say you're going to find a million realtors, 1,000 interior designers, maybe 20 stagers, and one color consultant, you know. So I'm very busy. I have to tell you, this past year has been the busiest year I've ever had.
Wow.
Because everybody's home and they're sick of looking at their walls. They're
Yeah.
sick of looking at the same colors. They want a change in the environment. They're like, I hate this color. I've hated this color for 10 years, but they were never home long enough to care. But now, like, especially like an office or something, you know, and they're like, now I'm stuck in this office. I used to never use it. Now I'm in here every day. I have to do something. And another thing that's changed, speaking of home offices, is now what I do is I bring them in the bathroom and we look in the mirror and I look at the color of their eyes. And now I'm choosing colors for the bedroom based on what they look good on a Zoom call.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
That's very creative.
Yeah, because people are complaining that I don't look good on Zoom calls, you know? So I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, or if it's the husband, I'll ask the wife. I said, what color do you think he looks good in? What shirt does he look best in? You know, blue, green, whatever. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So you are doing room colors based on Zoom backgrounds. I don't know how
Well,
to.
if it's an office where you're doing Zoom calls,
Yeah.
like an office, you can. So the living room, I'm going to base it off the color of the couch. Your kitchen, I'm going to look at your counter, your backsplash, your tile, you know, the things that are in the room. And we pick the best color that goes with your stuff, right? But an office usually just has a desk, you know, a computer, a bunch of papers. Like you could do anything you want in an office. And usually people just go safe route. It's just a boring beige off white, you know, and that's it. Or people are using like a spare bedroom. Like I had a woman that she bought a house and it used to be a teenage girl's room and the room was like this color, like a hot pink.
Yeah.
Okay. And so now she's using that for her Zoom calls in her office and it's still this hot pink because she still hadn't painted it since they bought it a year or two ago. And she's like, I look terrible. She's had like your coloring, right? Like, you know, very blonde and stuff. She's like, I look terrible. I look so pale and washed out in this room next to this hot pink. She's like, I got to change it. So I looked at her eyes and she had these really pretty blue eyes. So we picked this, you know, soft blue gray color and it was light enough that her skin, you know, looked warmer against it. But yet it complemented her eyes and now she loves it.
That's brilliant. You know what? That really is. My husband's office is the color of that ocean behind you, like the dark ocean at the top.
Yes.
And his eyes are almost that color. So it really does go with his skin tone. I wonder if he subconsciously picked it because of that. But
I don't know.
that was another question I want to ask you. So when we painted our house or picked our house color, we actually used a different color consultant. If I'd known you, we probably would have used you. But we used a color consultant and we could not agree. So I wanted.
Oh, you and your husband?
Yes. I wanted more green.
Yeah. Well, that's another. My job is also mediator.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So we came into the middle and chose like this. I don't know what you even call the color. Some sort of very taupey.
Is it for the exterior you're talking about? Or
yeah.
Yeah.
So, so what do you do when a wife and a husband want different colors for the living room or the great room or?
Well, that's why I try to educate people, right? So if we're doing the exterior, the first thing I look at is the color of the roof. A lot of times people tell me on the phone, we're thinking we want to paint the house gray. And then when I get there, they have a brown roof. And that's not going to work. It doesn't. And they say, oh, I didn't even think about considering the roof. I'm like, no, if you see it like in a bi-level and a cape or whatever, if you see a lot of the roof, you have to consider that. Right. And then is there brick or stone on the house? Then I'll talk about what looks best with your roof and what looks best with your stone, whatever. So sometimes they have an idea of something they saw in somebody else's house. It doesn't translate to your house, so as soon as I explain that, then they're like, oh, okay, I didn't think about that. Right. So let's say maybe they wanted, I don't know, whatever, blue or something. So that then maybe we could do a blue door if you want. Maybe it doesn't work on the whole house, but if you like blue, we could do the blue door. You got to make those compromises, right? For interior, I find that men have a love affair with brick, stone, and stained wood.
I know.
And anytime I walk in and I see stained wood trim everywhere, or a big old brick fireplace, and I try, if I bring up the subject of painting the brick white, I know I'm going to immediately get pushback from the husband. Okay. Some don't care, but some do. And they say, oh no, you can't paint that beautiful brick. I'm like, it's not beautiful. There's nothing beautiful about it. But so again, it becomes compromise, So yeah. So usually in the beginning, when I start talking, like I just came from an appointment where the husband was very involved and the two contractors were there that were friends. So, and then the wife. So I had 3 men against the wife, the 3-to-1. And I started with my color lesson talking about the warm, the cool, this one turns blue, green, this, da, 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 and immediately the men backed down because they knew I knew what I was talking about, and they did not, and then I started asking them about product, are you going to paint the cabinets? Yes. Well, which paint did you plan on using? They're like, I don't know, eggshell. I'm like, no. Which are you going to use? Advanced? Are you going to use cabinet coat? Da, da, da. They didn't know what I was talking about. So I won the argument right there because they could see that I knew what I was talking about. But usually as soon as you start, I find that a lot of men are a little bit colorblind and they don't know it. And I'm not trying to put anybody in a box or anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be mean toward men or anything. I'm just saying I've seen it many times where when I start having these discussions, there's a lot of men and women too that will say, I don't see that. I don't see the difference. When I start saying this one's a little pink and this one's a little green, they start getting baffled and they're like, I don't see that. I don't know how you can see that, So
well, that is true.
Once I start having those conversations, then they realize, you know what, do what you want to do.
That is so true though, because how many colors of white are there?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Like how, and you can see the difference kind of, but I'm like, if someone told me paint your doors white, I would be like, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. White is, there's really only a couple of whites. There's a lot of off whites, but the off whites are all a little bit of something. They're a little pink, a little yellow, a little green, whatever. And then again, I educate them and I show them that these colors, most of the off whites came from somewhere else in the Fandex. For instance, Simply White, right? Let's go look at Simply White because it also appears in this other Fandex. And then when you can see the graduation of the colors as they get darker, then you can see all those colors on there are yellowy green. Then Simply White has a little bit of yellow green in it. Then we don't want to use that color.
So how many colors of Benjamin Moore paint do you think there are?
There's about 3,500.
so I
already know.
I love the fact that you narrow it down to like 3 or 4 choices because that's overwhelming. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what I tell you. I eliminate 3,495 colors. Yeah, I did it when I was in the paint store. Like they would bring me a pillow, right? And I'd pull out the colors that matched the pillow, and they would have like 10 strips that they were looking at, and I'd say this was too pink, green, blah blah blah, and I pull it away, pull away, and I'm like, here we go. These 2 go the best with your pillow, and they're like, oh my god. I'm like, so it's either this one or that one. You want the lighter one or the darker one? Wow, that's the easiest way to do it. So I have this down to a method actually, and I wrote a book on. It's called the Paint Diva Method. It's about 95% done. I just have a couple of photos that I need to drop in, and then it's going to be ready to go and put to market. And it's got all my little color lessons and things are in there. And it's the way to choose paint colors for your whole house. inside. I haven't done the exterior one yet.
Yeah.
Another project.
When you think about it, so whatever somebody spends on consulting with you, like if you have a
Mhm.
job and you get, or like my husband's an attorney, he bills out at hundreds of dollars an hour. Like
Mhm.
1 hour with you is going to save him hundreds of dollars of an hour of
Right.
screwing around with 3,500 or
Right.
35,000 different colors and trying
Right.
to find the right one, right? So
Sure.
it's
Yeah.
really, it's really an investment. You
Plus,
don't,
people go out and they buy. I can't tell you how many times I've shown up and people have bought a dozen sample pints and they're all up on their wall and they hate all of them because they don't work.
oh my
You
God.
know, and I
Yeah.
would tell them, and that used to happen to me, like in the store. I would tell people, I would come out and do it for them for a fee, and they don't want to pay. So instead, they go and buy a bunch of samples, and they waste $100 on samples, and then they give up, and then they call me to come and help them. I'm like, you should have called me in the first place because I would have saved you that $100 that you just wasted on all those samples. Because I know and I always tell people, I say, look, how often do you paint? Once every 8 to 10 years, whatever. I do this all day, every day. So, that's why I can do it so quickly, and I can help you and eliminate all that pain and stress and aggravation and money. And it's, and everybody always says that's the best money I ever spent. It was worth every penny because I made it so easy for them.
Absolutely. I mean, when we built our house and when we were building it, we had the builders like, I need your colors by Monday. So we found somebody that was open on Sunday and she came out and she did the roof and the siding and the shutters and the door and the walkway, and that was just the outside, right? But I
Mhm.
could never, like, he's like, what color roof do you want? I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I could
Yeah.
never have done that. It's a real
Yeah.
skill, and it's a talent built from years of experience. So
Yeah. And because I've been to so many houses too, and I've seen so much, that it's, you just kind of pull things together according to just what I see all the time. And I'm glad you brought that up because I do help with that too. Like a lot of times people want help pulling it all together, the roof and what colors, shutters should we do, the door, like they want me to, look at the stone, the walkway material, because they want me to pull it all together for the exterior too. So
right, because if you do it yourself and you don't do it right, it can look really weird. I mean,
yeah.
you've seen those houses, right?
Yeah, that's what were they thinking? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So, no, I definitely am a believer in your services, and in fact, if we redo our paint colors someday, we are not picking them ourselves. We are
Yeah.
definitely gonna.
All it takes is to make one mistake, that people can't get over, then they never want to do it again. They're like, and I've created my own monster because people won't pick anything without me anymore.
Right. Well, and also too, Cindy, colors change. Now, you said gray's been popular for a long time, but there are new colors and new ways. I mean, people like to paint their houses, right? I mean, it's an easy way to make it look like a newer house to you,
Right.
right? A new
Right.
environment,
Mhm.
let's say.
Mhm.
So, what are the fashionable colors now?
It's still gray. Well, it's funny. Everybody asks me this. I've done a few seminars over the past couple of years, and I ended up putting together a PowerPoint and a video to music to make it really fun. So I learned from Benjamin Moore years ago that they follow the fashion runway, and that's how they determine what colors of the year are and things like that. So whatever you see coming down the fashion runway, you'll also see translate into interior design. Okay. So I put together this video from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, right up to now. And I have music from the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. But I also put together fashion, so some of the icons like Jackie O, right? She was a big icon, at a certain time. And you'll see her wear a yellow dress. And then all of a sudden everybody has this yellow tile bathroom and everybody else is wearing a yellow dress. In the 80s, you had Princess Diana, with her hats and her big, and Dynasty and the big poofy sleeves and Laura Ashley everywhere. So you see these Laura Ashley dresses, and then bedrooms are loaded with Laura Ashley wallpaper and the big poofy sleeves. And the window treatments were big poofy balloon valances, right? So as I did that, as we got all the way up to now, all of a sudden it looked like it was black and white photography, complete absence of color. Everything is gray and white. And I said, I can tell you what the next trend is going to be. It's going to be color. Just like they say in the fashion magazines, like, what were we thinking, in the 80s with the hair and then, right. So obviously color is coming in, but in steps, right? So I don't do like gray walls much anymore. Now I do a lot of off whites. They're still gray, but they're just lighter versions. And now people are starting to, now you'll see maybe a blue couch, you'll see splashes of color in the area rug and the pillows and the art and that type of thing. I'm starting to get people asking for Hail Navy, which is a really dark navy blue, because they're seeing it in magazines and things. But I'll do it as an accent wall. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people are not ready to commit to a full room of that color, but maybe an accent wall. But still, it's like, it's very sort of off-white as far as walls go, but color. And I always tell people to do that. You're better off putting color in the area rug and the pillows, because when you get tired of it, you go to Home Goods and get something new, I don't believe in spending thousands of dollars on an area rug. And this comes from working with so many sellers that they have a big red Oriental rug that they spend thousands of dollars on, and it's out of style and you can't sell it because nobody wants it. And they don't, they can't get rid of it. And they're like, but I spend so much money on it, and it kills them to get rid of something that costs them so much money. And the window treatments too. They spend thousands of dollars. And now it's time to move. And what are they going to do with it? So and plus, if you have dogs and pets,
I know.
I just think it just makes more sense. Just go to Home Goods or spend a couple $100s on it. When you get sick of it, you don't mind getting rid of it. Let the kids and the dogs trash it. And when you're tired of it, just get a new one,
Yeah, well, that's what we did with our family room sofa. We got it at Macy's. We got, we got all the Macy's discounts and everything.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
But we weren't going to spend 10 grand on a sofa because we have cats and they have
right.
paws and and they throw up and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
And I think that's just our society in general now. Like years ago, you would save antiques and hand them down to your children, and they become these heirlooms, and the kids don't want that stuff. They don't want your antiques. They want everything new. They want Pottery Barn, West Elm, Restoration Hardware. They don't want your old stuff. And I think it's just kind of, it's that way with everything, with our clothes and everything gets worn out. You throw it out and get a new one.
Yeah. Well, I think that's really great advice though. Like if you want to live in a peaceful atmosphere, maybe some rooms can have a dollop of color if that's where you want to go to generate energy or something. But to just make your walls neutral and then pop with pillows and things you can replace.
Right. I mean, I do like to have fun once in a while, right? Like the powder room is a fun place to play with wallpaper or color, because it's not, the place you spend the most time should be a really easy to live with color, right? The kitchen, family room area, right? But a powder room, you can play. The dining room, I'll play with color also, because you don't spend too much time in the dining room usually. And the office is another place, if you're going to, especially if you're sitting in there all day, you should have a color that makes you happy, or that makes you look good. A laundry room is a place to play too. Cause I always say, who wants to be in the laundry room? Nobody. So you don't want to be in there doing laundry. So do a color that makes you happy. I've done orange, turquoise, whatever color that walks in and just makes you smile.
So that's a great compromise. Like if somebody really loves color, then okay, you can have your color, you just can't have it everywhere.
Right, because it's overstimulating. That's why I always say, I don't want to see a red room, blue room, green room, yellow room. It's a Crayola box, and it's too much room to room. Like I want your main living space to be a mix of a lot of neutrals. Put your color in your stuff, your rugs, right? When you go into bedrooms though, it's a little bit different. Like kids love color, let them have the color. Let them have what they want, because before you know it, they're going to go off to college and they're going to be gone. And then you can paint it beige then, moms are always afraid of color, and that's another place where I mediate. Between moms and the kids, it's always little girls. The little girls that love pink always have the mom that hates pink. Well, and we have to mediate, and I have to, we do either a really soft blushy pink, or we do just an accent wall, or
Well, we had another house and we had kind of a small kitchen, and I was going to do it fuchsia and pink, and I was going to do a lot more fuchsia, and we did like a little strip of it and then a strip across the top fuchsia, and we're like, oh my gosh, we can't do this whole kitchen fuchsia. It'll be like going into a postage stamp size cave. So we ended
Right,
up doing
right.
it light pink with fuchsia highlights, which my daughter just loved, and I loved it too. My son and husband hated it. Right. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. And again, it's like, in the master bedroom too, it's like, kind of a compromise, so like I've had women that like purple, but that the husband's not going to be happy. But I do like a very gray purple. I call it a grown-up purple, and then hopefully the husband's a little colorblind and you did say, no, honey, it's gray.
yeah. Yeah, well, it is fun. So my study is kind of a light blue, not baby blue, a little deeper than that. And then my husband's study is like this screaming bright yellow, like egg yolk yellow. So,
Oh yeah. Wow.
yeah. So,
Study. Okay.
but you don't spend all day in your study, so it's okay.
Right. Right.
But mine's
Yeah.
very calming.
Well, to me, like a workout room is another room where I would do a bright, stimulating color to get your heart racing, and you're trying to do cardio and you want to get pumped up. Unless if you're doing yoga, it's different. If you want to have a
Right.
calming color, but a workout room is where I might do an accent wall of like red or a bright yellow, something like that. That just, especially if it's in a basement,
Yeah.
so it doesn't feel so dungeony. It's fun to
Yeah.
have a bright wall down there.
Yeah, yeah. So, well, this is all great advice. How do we find your video? That I just want to watch that for the fun of it. Like that sounds really great. Is it on your website?
Which video are you talking about?
The one you did where you went through the years and the colors and the fashion?
That one I don't have online because YouTube would take it down for the music copyrights. That's for when I've done live speaking events.
Okay.
I use it then. I play the video and then I do a PowerPoint. We talk about, whatever colors are in. I didn't do it this year because I'm too busy.
Yeah.
It was when I left the hardware store 4 or 5 years ago and I went out on my own. That's when I started going out and doing speaking engagements just to, get word out there that I'm out there and to get clients and stuff. But now I'm just way too busy. So.
Well, good for you. I'm glad to hear that. I mean, it's something that people always need, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you'll always have a job because
Somebody's always painting. Yeah. I mean, if I can even get through COVID, I do virtual consults as well. I'll do them through FaceTime and, like I've done it, people have gone down to their house in Florida or, whatever, and they just need to have the fan decks. And I do this, we sit here and we just talk through it and I'll say, turn to Balboa Mist and go put that up to your countertop and let's look at that and see what that looks like. And, I walk them through it.
oh, that's
So,
awesome.
yeah. And for exteriors, I seem to be, tutors seem to be my specialty. I did do one little video where I just shot it with my phone one day and I did a tutor in Summit on Ashland Road and it was a typical dark brown and white and she didn't like it and it was too dark and she wanted to give it a fresh look. So I reversed it and I flipped it and I did the stucco in sort of a taupey gray color and all the beams we did white instead of the dark. And it was a completely updated look. And I just turned my phone on and I did a talk and I, talked about the colors or whatever. And I've had people all over the country that watch it. And then they call me, I've done Arizona, Massachusetts, whatever. They want me to do a virtual consult for them. And it's usually tutors. Yeah. Or what I call a wannabe tutor. It's not really a tutor. It's like a colonial, but they put the beams on it to make it resemble a tutor, so I didn't ask to become a tutor specialist. It just, it just happens. So just because people just, they kind of get a little stumped, and they're not quite sure what to do. And we just I just sort of talk through it with them and I say, all right, well, what if we did this, and they sort of feel them out and see if they're going to like it or not. And if not, then okay, then let's try this. I think that's why I work so much is because I try to tap into people and I try to figure out who you are and what you like, and I talk through it with you until I help you come up with something that I know you're going to be happy with. I don't push my own style on anyone, even though everybody still pretty much wants the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, for the past, 7 years, everybody wants gray, it's
Yeah.
doesn't veer off there very often until I have fun with the client that actually wants purple or something different, but it's not very often.
One of these days you have to come and see my house. That's all I have to say. It's not great.
Oh, well, there you go. There you go. Yeah. I mean, and then once in a while you hit those people that are like, I am not a gray person. I love color. I don't want a gray house. I'm like, okay, let's do it. But then that type of person, I have to rein him in a little bit,
Yeah.
because I don't want it to look like Barney's house. Like we can do it, but we've got to do it in a sophisticated way.
Exactly. Well, this is great. Is there anything else that we need to talk about?
Well, my latest project, people keep asking me, do you paint murals anymore? No, I do not. And the other thing that's kept me really busy is I wrote a children's book series. This is completely off the subject of Paint Diva, sort of, but I did all the illustrations for it. And this is what kept me busy during COVID. It's my son, Robbie, had severe autism, and this is about a little penguin with autism.
Oh.
And I did 340 illustrations. See, I've got all these colors numbered and all these illustrations. So I wrote 12 stories. And then when we went into lockdown, I sat down and I started painting all of these illustrations. So that's what I've been doing for the past month, because April is Autism Awareness Month. And the book came out in the end of March, and I've been going to different towns doing book signings, book readings, reading to kids on Zoom and everything else, and trying to get word out about those books. So yes, now you can add author illustrator to my job description.
Wow. You got a lot of energy.
And that's why my Paint Diva book got put on hold, because for the past year I've been working on this. And now that that's out, now I can get back to, I called the photographer today. I'm like, we need to finish up the photos so I can drop those in, get the Paint Diva book out, and get rolling.
Excellent.
And this way, and one of the reasons I did it is because I get these calls from people all over the country, and they say there's nobody out here that does what you do. They can't find anyone to help them choose colors, and I can't be everywhere. And so it's a way to sort of multiply myself, now I can tell them, buy the book, and hopefully that will help.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Cindy.
You're welcome.